I was thinking the other day, we're both admittedly very black pill, and for people who are not familiar with this term, black pill, it could mean a lot of things. I think colloquially, it just sort of means even more extreme than red pill. So you know how like some people who think they embrace the truth, they call themselves red pill. It's like political, it's cultural. Anytime you say you're red pilled, it just means that you sort of cut against the grain and embrace the truth, no matter how uncomfortable or incorrect it might seem. And people who say they're black pilled, I don't know, it's just that times 10 or something. It's not really exactly that in the when it refers to the sexual context, it just refers to people who accept that physical appearance is immensely important as far as how successful people are. That's what black pill sort of means, just as a short primer. Anyway, we're both pretty black pilled, but we both understand that human male height is very important. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, human male height is very important as far as whether women will be attracted to you or not, or even if men will respect you or not. There's the, well-worn stat where, what is it? Most Fortune 500 CEOs are men over 6'3", and
Hmm.
but that's only like 3% of the population, right? So it's clear that there's some sort of selection going on where, people either respect you more or being taller affords you a greater sense of confidence, which pushes you through life in a different direction. Whatever the case may be, the result is there.
So do you think this is I mean, there's obviously, I feel like there's reasons for this based on evolution,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
do you think this has gotten worse recently
I
compared to the
think it's
past?
gotten
Like,
worse because social media presents people with a buffet of options, right? Where you don't have to deal with, if you're a woman or even if you're a man, you don't have to deal with just the 50 people in your small town, right? You don't get to assess them based on a multitude of factors. In the social media age, you deal with like a whole city or region, and it even gives you little handy filters like, do you want to see men under 6 foot? And then a woman just clicks no, and then she doesn't have to see any men under 6 feet on her Bumble, right? You couldn't do this in the year 1600. It's just, if you want a husband, you just got to pick from the guys in your little town, and you probably knew them all from a certain age. It just wasn't like that. So
this,
yeah, I think it's exacerbated this selection priority.
it's
Technology has
interesting.
exacerbated it.
Yeah, so when you first said social media, the first thing that actually came to my mind was I thought you meant wanting to show off. But then I was thinking height is not necessarily something that
No,
you can
yeah.
show off so much in a photo. But then yeah, it's
It's
clear that
not
you're
really
talking
showing
about
off. It's just people
yeah,
prefer taller men.
yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
not,
you're talking about the breadth of options that women
yeah,
have right now.
there's a biological impulse to prefer taller men when it comes to selecting mates, or I think clearly when it comes to selecting leaders. I'm sure that a man who's 5'5" has a hell of a time running for president.
Yeah. So I was actually going to ask you this. You probably have, you probably even know this. So like, who were some of the shorter presidents in the U.S.?
Well, I think James Madison was the shortest. He was like 5'5", five
Okay.
four, which wasn't like super short oh, he might have even been shorter. He was even known as being short at the time. And a person like Thomas Jefferson was 5'8", which was considered somewhat tall for the era.
Hmm.
George Washington, I think, was 6 foot plus, he was a freaking giant for the
Hmm.
era. And when you talk about recent presidents, like the shortest one is George W. Bush, but he's 5'11", which is still above average, right? Most
Hmm.
presidents are 6'3". I think Bill Clinton's 6'3". I think Obama's 6'3" or 6'4". I think Herbert Walker is 6'4". I think Reagan is 6'2". I think Carter's like 6'1". It's just, men are tall. It helps when you want to be considered a leader. It's just an advantage in almost every aspect,
Yep.
right?
It's the equivalent of female beauty.
Yes,
Ex
it's
yeah,
almost the
except
equivalent. Yeah, almost,
yeah,
because male beauty also counts for something too. But
yeah.
we accept how important it is for a man to be tall, and we don't cry about it, and we don't run away from it. But the thing I was gonna ask you is,
I cry
and
about
I
it,
think,
but
oh, but you're not
I don't
short.
I don't
Well,
run away from it. I
just
cry
for
about it,
people
but I
to
don't run away
know,
from it.
just full disclosure, you're not even short. Like, so I'm 5'9", and what are you, 6'1" or 6 foot?
Yeah, I'm around 6.
Okay, so that's considered tall. I mean, you'll pass the filters for most women. I mean, I don't think most women set their filter like 6'1" or 6'2". So you're tall enough in this world. But I think we've talked about this before, but what could I pay you or what could I give you to take away an inch of your height and then another inch and then another inch? Now, granted, not all the inches are the same, right? Because myself at 5'9", I I don't want to go down all the way to like 5'6". I would be considered super short for today's era. And even right now at 5'9", I wouldn't pass a lot of filters that women set, right? Not that I'm trying to pass filters necessarily, but I would just be considered not good enough in a lot of
Hmm.
people's minds, even though 5'9" is the average height of a male in the United States. But average is just not good enough for a lot of people. So I don't remember what you said, but you would not go down to 5'11" if I gave you $10 million, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then I had to keep raising it. So can you give me a number for you to go from 6 foot to 5'11"? Like, just think really hard and don't just be like, oh, $1 trillion or whatever. Just try to think realistically.
Right.
Well, yeah, I would buckle and just I would go ahead and give you that inch.
Right. Right. Hmm. I think my answer might have changed right now from what it was when you first brought this up. I feel like when you first brought it up, I probably said there is no amount of money.
Yeah, but that's ridiculous. Of course, there's some amount of money. What is it?
Uh, it depends though, because it's like what is the extra money? My answer might be different if I was poor, versus having sufficient wealth, right?
Right,
Uh,
right. Of course, a
so
person who's destitute and is 6 feet tall, of course, they would probably give up 1 inch pretty easily.
yep.
We'd assume you're not in that situation, so we won't say how much money you have, but you're very comfortable. So, what would you have to get for that 1 inch to come off?
It would, let's see, has to be over, like you said, you already mentioned 10 million. It's got to be, so it has to be greater than 10 million, right?
Yeah.
And then, so we should probably do this with binary search. So
What?
10 million, yeah. So yeah, so we're searching for some number, which is
Uh-huh.
the border. So I think the right way to do this is to keep doubling it until
Oh, doubling it. Okay.
you find a figure that right, so that you wouldn't go from, just like you said, you wouldn't go from considering 10 million right away to considering, let's say, 1 billion.
Right,
Um,
right, right. Okay, so 20 million, would that be enough? That's a lot of money.
that's a lot of money. I would still
Yeah.
say no.
Oh, wow. Okay.
40 million, I would say probably no.
Wow, 40 million?
Yeah.
You could buy one of those glass box houses in LA, you know?
80
That's
million, no.
80 million. You could not only buy one of those glass box houses, you could start to, do more interesting stuff with your money, like influence events,
Right. 160, nope.
160? Now you're just being ridiculous.
No, no,
160, I
I'm
think
not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I feel like for me, it might be somewhere around 500.
wow. It's
Yeah.
just 1 inch. You could wear lifts or something in your shoes. It's just 1 inch. Well,
But like, okay, but what would I do with all this money, right? It's like
yeah, there's so much fun stuff you could do with it. You're crazy, right?
the only, okay, because I'm thinking like I just watched this show, right? And I'm thinking how much how much money would I need to have like the wealth be attractive to some of these I don't know, higher status women, right?
You could probably stop at 40. I imagine that that'd be enough.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? Oh.
I don't think so. I feel like around I
Do
feel
you
like
think
around
these women
500.
these women don't do they date men who are always net worth over 40? No,
I have, to be honest, I have no idea. And of course,
I don't
like
think so.
if you go that, I mean, of course, if you go this route, it's not necessarily healthy either. But I was just thinking at around that 500 million point, you probably have the resources where you can start to ask people to make things happen. If you know what I mean.
I just think that I don't
I
know.
mean, does that make any sense? Like where you can, I don't know.
No, no.
Maybe
I think around
maybe that's not
80,
even enough.
I think no. I think that you're going the wrong direction. I think at 80 you can pretty much get whatever it is you're looking for.
Really?
I do. Like you only need more than that when your wish list is to buy companies or something.
Hmm.
Like do you just want material goods? Do you want people to be attracted to you for your wealth? 80 is more than enough to hit that mark for sure. 500 is
It's
500 and
not
above
okay.
is for people who want to buy companies and want
Yeah,
to really wield influence.
it's definitely not about material goods at all. It's really purely about status and influence, right?
Uh,
It's really
I think 80 is
so.
enough. I think you should be able to give it up. The other question is, uh, men shrink over time.
Mhm.
We know that's true.
Yeah.
Are you willing to spend? I mean, you wouldn't give up an inch for less than $80 million. Are you willing to spend a good amount of money to prevent losing height just naturally? You know, you have to start thinking
Uh,
about it that way too.
hmm. Then there's a limit of how much
How
I
much you
then
have, right?
yeah, then we have to start talking in percentages, I guess.
Right. Well, just take calcium pills, I guess.
Do uh, probably have to
I'm much
do
cheaper. I would probably give up an inch for like a million or two. I'm so much cheaper. But then after that, it would be more expensive because then I have, it's a respectable amount of money. It's just that it's not, I'm not going to be that much more comfortable, but I don't want to be shorter.
a million or two. Is this because you're in a happy relationship?
A what?
I mean, does the fact that you're in a happy relationship, does that do you
Oh,
think
yeah,
that's
yeah,
just
yeah. If I
part
don't have
of
to attract somebody, right?
right?
That
Well,
that probably does affect it,
what if
So
you were not in a relationship?
even if I were not, I think I'd have the same answer.
Really?
Because yeah, I just don't I wouldn't want to first of all, I wouldn't want to attract women leading with my money or have that being a thing. That would scare me actually. I would just think, oh, it's just gold diggers, you know?
It scares me too a lot, but I just feel, I mean, if you just wanted to meet somebody, right? You need, I mean, you need to have some connections or something. So,
Yeah, you don't need $80 million though. I think that 20 to 40 is more than enough.
really? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
It sounds. I hear the glee in the voice. So it's like, oh, I'm not that far from it. Jesus, you don't need that much money. It's not like you have to be Elon Musk to meet anybody in this world. Come on, I'm sure of it. Just trust me.
all right.
So
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. So I'd settle for. So what you're saying is Jeff Bezos is 5'7". Zuck is like no, he's like 5'6", right? Bezos is 5'6". I think Zuck is 5'7". So
It's weird. It's really weird because I never, like, my impression of Zuck is not that he's so short. Like, I had no idea until recently, I think.
well, he does wear clothes that sort of make him look taller, you know?
Yeah, I've never seen photos that really
Yeah, and
um,
I think that's
show it, I guess.
intentional. I think that's intentional. He tries not to take pictures next to taller people, et cetera, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
He's very self-conscious about it because you can be worth $100 billion, but you can't. Well, that's not true. You can buy height. He could have that really painful leg surgery, you
Does
know?
that actually work?
It works, but you just look like a dude with really long legs, and it's you can't walk.
Oh,
You can't walk for a year. So if you're willing to go through this painful procedure, you can
oh
be
my God.
taller.
Well, that's another. I mean, that's another hypothetical question, right? Like, would you undergo this surgery?
No, I
That
wouldn't.
sounds yeah, that sounds like too much. Oh my God.
No, absolutely not. But I, I think we have established though how important height is.
Yeah.
If it wasn't that important, like I think a woman, if we asked her, "Hey, how much money would I have to give you for you to give up like a breast size?" It wouldn't be that much money. It wouldn't be $40 million
Right. But
because
what about a facial disfiguration? That would be an interesting question, I
it
think.
would be. But are we comparing that to a man being like an inch shorter? I hope not. Maybe it is equivalent, but
I feel like it is equivalent, isn't it? I mean, it depends on
I
the
don't think
exact
if you were 5'11",
disfiguration.
if you were 5'11", do you consider yourself disfigured? You're still taller than
Yeah.
most men.
Hmm.
So no, I don't think that's equivalent, but it
But I
does
mean,
show how
it's
important height is.
right. I mean, it's all a matter of degree, right? So
Right.
there's some amount of height that somebody. I mean, there's a height versus disfig. Depending on what kind of disfiguration
Right.
we're talking about. What if it's just like a I don't know a mole or something?
But yeah, 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 yeah.